It was a cold night in the city. The streets outside were empty, wet with rain, and the wind carried the smell of gasoline and fried food. Inside his small apartment, Ryan sat in front of his computer screen, his stomach rumbling. He had forgotten about dinner again. With a sigh, he clicked on the delivery app and ordered the same thing he always ordered when it was late, and he was too tired to cook. Pizza. He didn't expect anything unusual. Pizza was pizza. A knock on the door would come, he'd take the box, pay the delivery person, and that would be it. But tonight would be different. When the knock finally came, Ryan got up lazily, half distracted by the game running on his monitor. He opened the door without thinking much, and then he froze. The courier standing there was not like anyone he had seen before. She wore a pizza company jacket that was clearly too big for her, the sleeves hanging almost past her hands. But it wasn't the clothes that caught his attention. It was her face. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like tiny silver dust catching the light. Her eyes glowed faintly, almost like the way a cat's eyes glow in the dark. "Pizza delivery," she said, her voice calm but strange. There was something unusual in her tone, an echo, as if two voices were speaking at once. Ryan blinked, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe the light in the hallway was playing tricks on him. He reached out and took the box from her hands. The box was warm, but her hands were even warmer, almost hot, like she had been holding something burning. "You okay?" Ryan asked without thinking. She tilted her head, studying him with those glowing eyes. Then to his surprise, she whispered, "I'm not supposed to be here." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" The courier looked over her shoulder as if making sure no one else was around. Her voice lowered, trembling now. "I'm not human," Ryan laughed nervously. "What, are you joking?" Her expression didn't change. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She just stood there, staring at him, as if waiting for him to believe her. For a moment, Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. Before he could say anything, she stepped back into the hallway. "I have no place to stay," she said quietly. "They threw me out." And then she turned and walked away. Ryan stood at his door, holding the pizza box, completely confused. Was she crazy? Was she serious? Who says something like that to a stranger? He wanted to shrug it off and just eat his food. But his mind kept replaying her words. "I'm not human. I have no place to stay." Later that night, Ryan sat on his couch with the half-empty pizza box beside him. He couldn't concentrate on his game. His thoughts kept going back to the girl. Something about her eyes, that faint glow, it hadn't looked fake. And her voice, that strange double sound, it still echoed in his head. Finally, curiosity won. He stood up and walked to his window. His apartment was on the 3rd floor, and from here he could see part of the street below. The rain had stopped and the pavement glistened under the street lamps. And then he saw her. She was sitting on the curb across the street, her arms wrapped around her knees. She wasn't carrying any umbrella, and the pizza jacket she wore was soaked. She looked small, almost fragile, but there was something lonely and powerful about the way she just sat there staring at nothing. Ryan felt a tug in his chest. She really had nowhere to go. "Should I?" he muttered to himself. He shook his head. "No, this is crazy. She's probably just some strange girl making up stories. Not human? Yeah, right," but then he remembered the way her skin shimmered, the way her hands burned hot against the pizza box, and her voice. Ryan couldn't look away. Minutes passed, maybe half an hour, and she was still there. Not moving, not leaving, just sitting in the cold night. Finally, Ryan sighed. He grabbed his jacket, shoved his feet into his sneakers, and headed downstairs. When he crossed the street, she didn't even turn her head. Only when he stopped in front of her did she glance up at him with those glowing eyes. "You're still here," Ryan said awkwardly. She nodded. "I told you. I have nowhere else. You weren't kidding. Were you?" he asked carefully. Her gaze locked on his, serious and sharp. "No, I'm not from this planet." Ryan's mouth went dry. The city traffic hummed faintly in the distance, but the street around them felt completely silent. If she was telling the truth. Then the universe had just come knocking on his door with a pizza box. The street was quiet, the wet ground reflecting the orange glow of the lamps. Ryan stood there facing the girl who had delivered his pizza an hour ago. She looked calm, but her words were heavy. "I'm not from this planet," she repeated, her voice steady this time. Ryan's mouth opened, then closed. He had no idea what to say. His brain wanted to laugh, to brush it off, but his gut told him she wasn't lying. There was something in her glowing eyes, something too real to be a trick. He shoved his hands in his pockets. Okay, let's say you're not human. Then who are you? Or what are you? The girl looked down, hugging her knees tighter. Her wet jacket clung to her arms. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she whispered, I shouldn't tell you. It's dangerous if I tell you. Ryan sighed. Dangerous? Look, I'm just some guy who wanted pizza. You show up, say you're not human, and then sit in the rain. You can't just drop that on me and then say nothing. For the first time, she gave a small smile, though it was sad. Humans are always curious. That is what makes your kind special. That line made Ryan pause. Your kind. She really believed what she was saying. A car drove by, its tires splashing water, breaking the silence. When it was gone, she lifted her head. My name is Leora, she said softly. I come from a world far away, a place your people do not know yet. I was sent here to hide. To hide? Ryan asked, frowning. Yes, I had no choice. Her glowing eyes flickered dim for a moment, like a dying candle. Back home they said I was guilty. They said I broke our laws. I escaped before they could take me. Ryan's heart raced. He wasn't sure if he should feel afraid or sorry for her. What did you do? What law did you break? Leora's lips trembled. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled her jacket tighter, as if the night air had suddenly turned colder. Ryan crouched down so he could meet her eyes. Look, I don't know if you're telling the truth. Honestly, I don't know if I should believe you. But you're sitting out here in the rain and it's freezing. At least come inside. You can tell me more later. Her glowing eyes studied him carefully. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. Ryan gave a half smile. Maybe because I'm human. And humans, we don't like to see someone left out in the cold. For the first time, Leora's expression softened. She looked almost human. Slowly, she nodded. Inside the apartment, Ryan handed her a towel and some dry clothes. She disappeared into the bathroom to change, and when she came back, he noticed something strange. The wet clothes she had taken off shimmered faintly on the floor like drops of starlight clinging to them. Your skin? Ryan said before he could stop himself. It shines. Leora glanced at her hands. She quickly pulled the sleeves down. It is normal. For me, Ryan didn't push. He sat on the couch while she stood near the window looking outside as if expecting someone to appear at any moment. Are you running from people? Ryan asked finally. Yes. Her answer was sharp, quick. They will look for me. They will not stop. Ryan swallowed. Who are they? The enforcers, she whispered. They are not human. They are my kind, and they do not forgive. Ryan's chest tightened. Enforcers? The word sounded dangerous, like something out of a dark story. Why? He asked carefully. Why are they after you? Leora turned, her glowing eyes locking onto his. Because I carry something forbidden. Ryan felt his stomach drop. Forbidden? Like a weapon? She shook her head slowly. No, something more dangerous than a weapon. She stepped closer, her voice lowering. Knowledge, a cure. I made something that could save lives. But my people, they decided it was against the law. They called it betrayal. They said I had no right to change what was meant to be. Ryan sat in stunned silence. His pizza box lay forgotten on the table. A cure? What kind of cure could be illegal? Before he could ask, Leora stiffened. Her eyes widened, glowing brighter. Ryan frowned. What's wrong? She reached into her bag and pulled out a small metallic object, no bigger than a phone. It was blinking red, pulsing like a heartbeat. No, she whispered. They found me. Ryan jumped up. What is that? It is a tracker, she said, her voice shaking for the first time. They are close. Ryan's blood ran cold. He looked out the window but saw nothing unusual. Just empty streets, glowing lamps, and silence. Leora gripped the device tightly. If they come here, they will not only take me. They will erase you too. You should not have spoken to me. You should not have let me inside. Ryan's heart pounded. He felt the weight of his choice pressing down on him. He had invited her in, but what had he really brought into his life? Leora's voice was soft but full of fear. It is too late. The enforcers are coming. The red light on the strange device blinked faster, filling Ryan's small apartment with a silent warning. Each flash made his stomach tighten. They're coming, Leora said, her voice low and sharp. The enforcers never stop once they have your signal. Ryan's mouth went dry. He didn't know what to do. He had only wanted a quiet night with pizza, but now there was an alien in his living room and people or beings were coming to take her away. Listen, Ryan said quickly, trying to stay calm. You can't just sit here waiting for them. If they're dangerous, we need to move. Leora shook her head. It won't matter. Once they are near, escape is almost impossible. Ryan clenched his fists. Almost impossible is better than doing nothing. She stared at him, surprised by his words. Her glowing eyes searched his face as if trying to decide if he was brave or just foolish. Finally, she whispered, You don't understand. If they catch me here, they won't just take me. They'll erase you. They'll erase everything you know. That is their law. Ryan froze. Erase? Did she mean kill? Or something worse? He swallowed hard. Then I guess I don't have much of a choice. If you stay here, I'm done anyway, so we run. For a moment, silence filled the room. The blinking red light was the only movement. Then Leora nodded. You are choosing danger, she said. Ryan gave a shaky laugh. Yeah, guess I am. Leora slipped the tracker into her bag. Her hands moved quickly, pulling out another object, a small metallic cube with faint glowing lines across its surface. She pressed a hidden button, and the cube unfolded into something like a tablet. Strange symbols lit up across the screen. Ryan blinked. What is that? A shield. It will hide us for a short time, she explained. Her fingers danced across the glowing marks, and suddenly a faint shimmer surrounded her body like a bubble of light. She stepped closer to him. Stay near me. If you move too far, you will be seen. Ryan hesitated only a moment before stepping inside the bubble. The air felt heavier, buzzing softly, as if the world outside had shifted. Now we go, Leora said firmly. They hurried down the stairwell and out into the street. The night was colder now, the wet pavement shining under the lamps. Ryan's heart pounded in his ears. Every shadow looked like a threat. Where are we even going? Ryan whispered. Somewhere away from open eyes, Leora said. They will search the skies first, then the streets. If we move quickly, we may reach cover before they close in. As if on cue, a low hum filled the air. Ryan looked up and felt his blood run cold. Dark shapes moved across the clouds. They weren't helicopters. They weren't drones. They were smooth, silent crafts with glowing blue edges, gliding like predators. Ryan's knees almost gave out. They're already here. Leora grabbed his arm. Don't look up. Don't draw attention. Her voice was sharp, but Ryan could hear the fear underneath. They ran through narrow alleys, the shimmer of her shield hiding them from the searchlights that swept the streets. Ryan's lungs burned as he struggled to keep up. He wasn't a runner, but fear gave him strength. At last, they stopped in the shadow of an abandoned warehouse. Leora pressed her hand against the wall, breathing heavily. The shield flickered, then dimmed. Ryan leaned against the bricks, gasping for air. This is insane. Who are these people? What do they want from you? They are not people, Leora said bitterly. They are hunters. My people trained them to catch those who break our laws. They don't stop. They don't question. They only follow orders. And you? What exactly did you do? Ryan pressed. Her eyes flickered with guilt. I gave hope where they wanted despair. I created life where they demanded silence. To them, that was a crime. Ryan shook his head. I don't understand. You don't have to, she whispered. All you need to know is that if they catch me, everything ends. For me, for you. The sound of engines grew louder. A bright beam of blue light swept past the warehouse windows. Leora grabbed Ryan's wrist. They're here, she said urgently. We can't stay. But where do we go? Ryan asked, her hand tightened around his. Trust me. She pulled out another device from her bag, a small silver ring with strange patterns carved into it. She pressed it against the ground. A circular glow spread out, humming softly. Then the concrete cracked open, revealing a dark stairway leading underground. Ryan's eyes widened. What the hell? Move! Leora snapped, pushing him toward the opening. Without thinking, Ryan climbed down the stairs, his heart racing. Leora followed, sealing the entrance behind them. The glow vanished, leaving them in darkness. The underground tunnel was damp and narrow, lit only by the faint glow of Leora's skin. The air smelled of rust and earth. Ryan whispered, How do you know about this place? Leora's voice echoed softly. I studied this city before I came. I memorized its hidden paths. I knew I would need them one day. Ryan stared at her glowing outline in the dark. You planned all this, didn't you? Leora stopped walking. For the first time, Ryan saw doubt in her eyes. I planned to survive, she admitted, but I did not plan to meet you. Her words hung heavy in the tunnel. Ryan didn't know if he should feel honored or terrified. They walked deeper until the sound of the engines above faded. At last they stopped in a small chamber with old pipes running across the walls. Leora dropped her bag and sat down, breathing hard. Ryan sat across from her. His voice was shaky. So, what happens now? Leora looked at him for a long time before answering. Now you decide. You can walk away and forget me, or you can stay and risk everything. But if you stay, there is no turning back. Ryan's chest tightened. He thought about his quiet, simple life, about the safety he was about to lose, and then he looked at her glowing eyes, filled with fear and strength all at once. He knew his answer. The underground chamber was silent except for Ryan's heartbeat, still racing from the chase above. The pipes on the walls groaned now and then, as if the old city itself was breathing. Leora sat with her back against the wall, her bag in her lap. She didn't speak at first. Her glowing eyes were fixed on the small tracker device, still pulsing faint red through the fabric. Ryan finally broke the silence. That thing, it's still blinking. Doesn't that mean they can still find us? Leora's fingers tightened on the bag. Yes, the signal is weak here, but not gone. It will draw them closer. They are patient hunters. They always are. Ryan rubbed his forehead. He couldn't believe this was his life now. Only yesterday he was just an ordinary guy with an ordinary job. Now he was hiding underground with an alien girl being chased by hunters from another world. You have to destroy it, he said quickly. That's the only way to stop them. Leora shook her head slowly. If I destroy it, they will know. The sudden silence will guide them faster than the signal. Ryan frowned. So what, we just sit here until they come knocking? Her gaze met his, calm but heavy. No, we wait until the right time to move. That is the only chance. Ryan sighed and leaned back against the wall. The air was damp and heavy. He could feel the weight of the whole city above them. Leora, he said finally, his voice quieter. You keep saying they'll erase me if they find me. What does that mean, kill me? She hesitated, and that hesitation was worse than any answer. When she finally spoke, her words were careful. They will remove every trace of you, your body, your name, your history. To them, humans are not meant to know our existence. If you see too much, you become a threat, and threats are erased. Ryan's skin went cold. He thought about his apartment, his computer, his quiet street. If these enforcers could erase him completely, then his neighbors would forget he even lived there. His family wouldn't even know he was gone. It wasn't just death. It was vanishing. Leora reached into her bag again and pulled out another object, a small crystal tube filled with glowing blue liquid. She held it carefully, almost reverently. Ryan's eyes widened. What's that? Her voice lowered, full of both pride and fear. This is why they want me. This is the cure. Ryan leaned closer. The liquid shimmered, swirling like living light. A cure for what? He asked. For silence, she whispered. For death itself, Ryan frowned. What are you talking about? Leora's hands trembled slightly as she explained. On my world, when someone is born weak, sick, or broken, they are left to fade. Our laws say we cannot interfere with what nature decides. It is balance, they claim, but I found a way to heal them. I made life stronger. I gave hope where there was none. Ryan's chest tightened. So you were saving people, and they called that a crime? Her glowing eyes met his. Yes, because to them, changing fate is betrayal. Ryan shook his head, anger boiling inside him. That's insane. On Earth, people fight to save each other. Doctors, medicine, we don't just let people die if we can stop it. Leora gave a sad smile. That is why I wanted to come here. Humans are imperfect, but you care, you try. That is a gift my people do not understand. The chamber trembled faintly. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ryan froze. What was that? Leora's face went pale. She held up the tracker. The red light was flashing faster now. They are near, she whispered. They are scanning beneath the city. We don't have much time. Ryan's heart pounded. Then we need to move again, now. But Leora didn't rise. She looked at him with fear in her eyes, not for herself, but for him. If you stay with me, Ryan, you will not survive. You should leave. Forget you ever met me, Ryan stared at her. His mind screamed at him to run, to find safety, to go back to his old life. But something stronger pushed back. He thought about her sitting in the rain, about the glow in her eyes when she talked about saving lives, She wasn't a monster. She wasn't a threat. She was someone who risked everything to do what was right. He clenched his fists. I'm not leaving you. If they want you, they'll have to go through me too. For the first time, Leora looked truly shaken. Why? Why would you do that? Ryan gave a small, nervous smile. Because maybe that's just what humans do. We don't abandon people, even if they're not people. Her lips parted as if she wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, her eyes softened, shimmering brighter. For a brief moment, she looked less like a fugitive alien, and more like a lost girl who just wanted someone to stand beside her. The ground shook again, harder this time. Pipes rattled above their heads. The red light on the tracker turned solid. They've locked onto us, Leora said, her voice breaking. They're here. Ryan stood, his heart racing. He didn't know how to fight hunters from another world. He didn't even know if he could survive the next hour. But as the sound of engines grew louder and shadows shifted across the tunnel walls, he knew one thing for certain. He had made his choice. The tunnel walls shook as a low hum filled the air, deeper than thunder, steady like a heartbeat. Dust rained from the ceiling. The red light on the tracker burned brighter than ever, no longer blinking, solid, sharp, alive. They've found us, Leora whispered. Her glowing eyes were wide with fear, her hands clutching the bag to her chest. Ryan's stomach twisted. Then we run. But before either of them could move, the chamber's far wall glowed faint blue. The stone melted away, not crumbling, not breaking, just dissolving like sugar in water. From the glowing hole, 3 tall figures stepped inside. Ryan's breath caught. These were not humans. They were wrapped in black armor that seemed alive, pulsing faintly with light. Their helmets were smooth, faceless, reflecting the dim glow of the tunnel. In their hands they carried long rods that hummed with dangerous energy. Enforcers, Leora breathed. Her whole body trembled, but her voice carried the weight of bitter recognition. The 3 figures moved silently, their steps heavy but precise. They filled the chamber with a presence that was colder than death. Ryan backed up until his shoulders pressed against the wall. He whispered, "What do we do?" Leora's glowing eyes darted around the chamber. She swallowed hard. "If I fight, they will kill us both. If I surrender, you will still be erased." Ryan's fists clenched. "So there's no way out?" Her gaze flicked to the glowing crystal tube in her bag. For a moment, she looked like she was about to hand it over. Then she shook her head fiercely. "No, I cannot let them take it. I won't." The enforcers stopped only a few steps away. The leader lifted his rod and his helmet split open, revealing a face not entirely alien but not human either. His skin was pale blue, his eyes black pools without pupils, his jaw sharp like stone carved into flesh. When he spoke, his voice was not one sound but many, layered together like an echo across time. "Leora," the enforcer said, "you broke the law of the Veil. You carry forbidden life. You will return with us." His gaze shifted to Ryan. "The human will be erased. His existence ends tonight." Ryan's heart thundered. He wanted to scream, to run, but his legs refused to move. Leora stepped in front of him, her arms spread wide. "No, he did nothing. Let him go. Take me if you must, but let him live." The enforcer's head tilted. "He has seen too much. That cannot be undone." The 2 other hunters raised their rods. Blue light crackled at the tips, humming louder, preparing to strike. Ryan felt his chest tighten. This was it, the end. But then Leora moved. She threw the glowing cube she had used earlier onto the floor. It burst open in a flash of light, and a shimmering wall of energy spread between them and the enforcers. The chamber exploded with sound as the rods fired, blue blasts slamming against the shield. The air shook with the force. Ryan stumbled backward, covering his ears. What do we do now? Run!" Leora shouted. She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the far side of the chamber. Her shield flickered under the enforcer's assault, each blast cracking it like glass. "Faster!" she cried. They sprinted down a narrow tunnel. Behind them, the shield shattered with a sound like breaking ice. The hunters roared, not with voices but with the metallic screech of their armor. The ground shook as they followed. Ryan's lungs burned, but he didn't stop. The tunnel twisted and narrowed until it opened into a larger space. Old pipes lined the walls, dripping water into puddles that gleamed faintly under Leora's glow. She yanked another device from her bag, something like a silver disc. She slapped it against the tunnel wall, and instantly the rock shifted, opening into a new passage. "Inside," she urged. They dove through just as a blast of blue energy struck the wall behind them, shaking the ground like an earthquake. The passage sealed itself, leaving them in complete darkness. Ryan gasped for air, his chest aching. How long? Can we keep running like this? Leora's voice was quiet, broken. Not forever. They will follow until one of us falls. Ryan leaned against the wall, sweat dripping down his face. He wanted to scream at her, to demand why she had dragged him into this nightmare. But when he saw her clutching the glowing cure, trembling as if it weighed more than her whole body, he stopped. Instead, he asked softly, "Why risk everything for this? Why not just leave it behind?" She looked at him with eyes that shimmered like tears. "Because it is more than a cure, it is hope. For your people, for mine. For anyone who has ever been told they do not deserve to live." Her voice cracked. "I cannot throw that away, even if it means they destroy me." Ryan's throat tightened. He had never believed in destiny or heroes, but looking at her now, he felt something stir inside him, a stubborn fire. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we don't let them take it. We fight." Leora stared at him, shocked. "Fight against enforcers? You are only human. You cannot—" Ryan cut her off with a shaky smile. "Maybe, but humans don't give up." "You said that yourself." The tunnel rumbled again. Distant voices, cold and layered, echoed through the stone. The enforcers were coming closer. Leora closed her eyes, pain etched on her face. Then she handed Ryan a small metallic band like a bracelet covered in strange symbols. "Wear this," she whispered. "It will protect you. For a short time." Ryan slipped it on. It felt heavy, like it was alive. The symbols glowed faintly against his skin. He swallowed hard, his fear and determination twisting together. He didn't know if he could fight alien hunters. He didn't know if he would survive the next 10 minutes, but he knew one thing. He would not let them take her. The bracelet on Ryan's wrist pulsed faintly, its glowing symbol shifting like living veins of light. It felt warm against his skin, almost as if it had a heartbeat of its own. "What does this thing do?" he whispered, staring at it. Leora's glowing eyes flicked to the device. "It will shield you once, maybe twice. After that, it will burn out." Ryan's throat tightened. "Once, twice? Against those things out there?" It didn't sound like much. The tunnel shook again. The sound of boots, heavy, steady, relentless, echoed through the stone. The enforcers were closing in. Leora pressed her hand against the damp wall. Symbols lit up under her palm, forming lines and circles Ryan didn't understand. The stone vibrated, then slowly peeled open, revealing another hidden passage. "Come," she urged. "If we stay here, we die." Ryan followed her into the new corridor. The air grew colder, the ground sloping downward. Pipes rattled overhead, dripping water that glittered faintly in Leora's glow. "Where are we even going?" Ryan asked between breaths. "To the old transport rails," Leora said quickly. "If they still function, we can ride them out of the city. The enforcers will expect us above, not below." Ryan frowned. "And if they don't work?" She looked at him grimly. "Then we improvise." They moved deeper until the passage opened into a cavernous underground space. Ryan froze in awe. Rusting rails stretched out in both directions, vanishing into the dark. Massive machines lay silent, covered in dust, relics of some forgotten subway system. Broken signs hung from the ceiling, written in a language Ryan didn't recognize. "What is this place?" he whispered. "Not human," Leora said. "Built long ago by travelers like me." "Your people never discovered it." Ryan stared at her. "You mean aliens were here before you?" She nodded. "Many times." He didn't have time to ask more. A blue flash lit up the tunnel behind them. "The enforcers were here! Go!" Leora shouted, pulling him onto the rusted rail platform. She yanked out another device from her bag. This one shaped like a flat disc. She slapped it against the rail. The metal screeched and sparked, then roared to life with a pulse of energy. A faint glow ran along the rail like lightning racing across a wire. Ryan's jaw dropped. "You just turned it on?" Leora grabbed his arm. "Not on. Alive." From the shadows, something stirred. At first, Ryan thought it was a machine. Then he realized it was moving on its own. A sleek pod-like craft emerged from the darkness, floating slightly above the glowing rail, humming with strange power. Leora shoved him toward it. "Inside!" Ryan scrambled into the pod, his heart hammering. The interior was small but smooth, with no seats, no controls, only glowing panels. Leora climbed in after him and slammed her hand against one of the panels. The pod roared, shaking the ground, then shot forward down the rail with blinding speed. Ryan crashed against the side, struggling to keep his balance. This thing has no seatbelts. Leora gave him a quick, almost amused glance. It was not built for comfort. The pod sped through the tunnels, the walls a blur of stone and rust. But behind them, the sound of engines followed. Ryan twisted to look through the back window. His stomach dropped. The enforcers weren't far. Their black crafts glided smoothly through the tunnels faster than the pod, their blue lights cutting through the darkness. "They're gaining," Ryan shouted. Leora's hands flew across the glowing panels. The pod swerved violently, shooting through side tunnels, bouncing off walls. Sparks flew. The hunters followed with inhuman precision. "Ryan!" she shouted suddenly. "The bracelet! Hold your arm out!" "What? Do it!" Ryan thrust his arm out as instructed, the bracelet's symbols flaring. A wave of light burst from it, forming a glowing shield behind the pod. The first blast from the hunters struck the shield, exploding in a flash. The tunnel shook, stones raining down. The second blast cracked the shield, lines of fire running through it. Ryan gritted his teeth, bracing against the pain as if the shield was feeding directly off him. "It's breaking. One more," Leora shouted. "Just one more." Another blue blast hit. The shield shattered like glass, vanishing in sparks. Ryan collapsed to his knees, his arm burning as if the bracelet had seared into his skin. But behind them, the tunnel had caved in, burying the lead enforcer under rubble. The others were forced to slow down. Ryan gasped for air. It worked. It actually worked. The pod sped onward until the rails ended in a wide chamber, lit by pale crystals embedded in the walls. The pod screeched to a stop, hovering in place. Ryan stumbled out, his legs shaky. His arm ached, the bracelet now dark, its glow gone. Leora helped him stand. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with both fear and something else, hope. "You see?" she whispered. "Even human hands can fight them." Ryan gave a weak laugh. "Yeah, almost got myself killed doing it." But deep inside, a fire burned. For the first time, he didn't feel like a helpless bystander. For the first time, he felt like he mattered in this fight. Before he could say more, the chamber walls trembled. The rubble behind them shifted. The enforcers were not gone. They were coming again. Leora looked at him, her voice sharp but steady. "We cannot run forever. If we keep fleeing, they will wear us down. We need to turn this chase into a trap." Ryan blinked. "A trap? How?" "They're stronger, faster, and they've got—" "Not stronger here," she interrupted. Her glowing eyes swept across the chamber. "This place is alive. It remembers. We can use it." Ryan followed her gaze, confused but trusting. "So what's the plan?" Leora's lips pressed into a thin line. "We set the rails against them. And when they come, we make our stand." The underground chamber hummed with strange energy. The pale crystals in the walls flickered, glowing brighter as if they sensed the danger drawing closer. Ryan stood beside Leora, sweat dripping down his face, his arm still sore from the burned-out bracelet. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice tight with nerves. Leora nodded, her glowing eyes calm but sharp. "The rails can be turned against them. They feed on energy. If we overload them, they will become a weapon." Ryan looked at the glowing rails that stretched across the chamber. They hummed faintly, alive again after centuries of silence. "And if it doesn't work?" Leora gave a small, sad smile. "Then we run out of places to hide." The rubble at the far end of the tunnel shifted. Blue light spilled through the cracks. The sound of armor, steady and cold, echoed into the chamber. "They're here," Ryan muttered, his stomach twisting. The wall crumbled, and the enforcers stepped into the chamber. Their black armor gleamed under the pale crystal light, their rods humming with lethal energy. The leader pointed directly at Leora. "Fugitive," he said in that layered, echoing voice. "You have no escape. Surrender or be erased." Ryan swallowed hard. His hands trembled, but he forced himself to step in front of Leora. "You'll have to go through me first." The enforcer tilted his head, almost amused. "A human? You think you can stand against us?" Ryan's heart pounded, but he didn't back down. "I don't think, I know. 'Cause humans don't give up." The hunters raised their rods. Energy crackled. "Now!" Leora shouted. She slammed her hand against a glowing panel on the rail. Instantly, the chamber roared to life. The rails lit up with blinding energy, lightning racing across the floor. The crystals on the walls pulsed, feeding the surge. The enforcers hesitated, their armor reacting, flickering as if struggling to contain the sudden wave of power. Ryan saw his chance. He grabbed a loose pipe from the floor and charged at the nearest hunter. He swung with all his strength. The pipe cracked against the armor, sparks flying. The enforcer staggered, more from surprise than pain. The leader roared, his rod glowing brighter. He swung at Ryan. Ryan braced, expecting to die. But at the last second, the dead bracelet on his arm flickered to life, glowing faintly. The rod struck and a shield burst out, blocking the attack. The force sent Ryan crashing to the floor, gasping but alive. He looked at the bracelet in shock. Guess you had one more left in you. Meanwhile, Leora raised the crystal tube, the cure. It glowed like liquid fire in her hands. She pressed it against the rail. "Wait, what are you doing?" Ryan shouted. Her voice was steady. "If the cure merges with the rails, the energy will overload. It will destroy everything in this chamber, including them." Ryan's stomach dropped. "Everything? That means us too." Leora's eyes softened. "Better we end here than in their hands. At least this way we choose." Ryan's mind screamed no. He wasn't ready to die, not like this. But when he saw the fire in her eyes, he knew she was serious. She was willing to sacrifice herself to protect what mattered. And in that moment, he realized something. He couldn't let her stand alone. The enforcers advanced, their armor flickering under the unstable energy. The leader raised his rod for the final strike. Ryan forced himself to his feet, every muscle aching. He grabbed the glowing panel near the rail and slammed his hand down beside Leora's. Her eyes widened. "Ryan, we do this together," he said firmly. The rails screamed as the energy built. Lightning shot across the chamber, blinding, tearing the air apart. The enforcers staggered, their armor cracking under the overload. The leader roared in fury. "You cannot—" His words were drowned out by the explosion. The chamber erupted in a storm of light. The rails shattered, crystals bursting into fragments. The enforcers were consumed by the surge, their black armor breaking apart, their forms dissolving into ash and sparks. Ryan was thrown against the wall, pain exploding across his body. His vision blurred. He tasted blood. He thought this was the end, but then he felt warmth. Not from fire, but from Leora's hand clutching his. Her glow surrounded them, shielding them inside a fragile bubble of light. The storm raged, destroying everything else, but inside the bubble they survived. When the light finally faded, the chamber was silent. The rails were gone. The enforcers were gone. Only dust and broken stone remained. Ryan coughed, forcing himself to sit up. His ears rang, his chest ached, but he was alive. Beside him, Leora still glowed faintly, though her body trembled with exhaustion. You saved us," he whispered. She shook her head weakly. "No, we saved each other." Ryan gave a tired laugh. "Guess humans aren't completely useless after all." Leora's lips curved into the faintest smile. "No, you are far more dangerous than they believed." But before Ryan could relax, before he could believe it was over, the ground shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. He froze. "Don't tell me." Leora's glowing eyes lifted to the darkness above. Her voice was faint but full of dread. "They know. The others will come." This was only the beginning. Ryan followed her gaze. Through a crack in the ceiling, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Far above the city, beyond the clouds, lights moved in the sky. Dozens, maybe hundreds of ships watching silently. The battle was not over. It had only just begun.